And we lost thousands in product and materials and parts. Pretty much everything that's sitting on the floor was either damaged or is no longer usable. I'm going to walk you through what happened, how it happened, what we're doing to fix it, and obviously a lot has changed, so we'll get you a full shop update.
Derek Bieri built an empire from junk, then destroyed it without warning. At the peak of fame, he pulled the plug on everything, leaving millions and $1 million brand behind. Not because of views, not because of money. Now he's breaking his silence. And what he says about the end of Vice Grip Garage is nothing like the story fans believed. Roots of rust and grit. Long before millions of people knew his name, before the very first video was filmed, or the engines came back to life with a loud, revving sound, Derek Bieri was just a kid in North Dakota, learning to fix things before he could afford to replace them. He grew up surrounded by farmland, tractors, and the kind of silence that made you listen to the hum of machines. In that quiet, he learned that if something broke, you didn't throw it away. You rolled up your sleeves and made it work again. That hands-on attitude didn't just stay in the garage. It shaped the kind of person Derek would become. It taught him patience, creativity, and the value of figuring things out for yourself. Born on May 16, 1984, Derek's childhood wasn't paved with privilege. He was raised in a modest rural household, the kind where hard work wasn't a choice, but a rhythm of daily life. From an early age, he showed a fascination for mechanics, taking apart toys, gadgets, and anything that had moving parts. He wasn't driven by destruction, but by curiosity and a need to understand how things worked. Little did anyone know, those tiny experiments in the living room would one day shape his future. As he got older, that curiosity turned into a deep love for classic American cars and trucks. Observing old Chevys and Buicks rusting away in fields and barns, he wondered what stories they held within. Could they run again? That same curiosity didn't just fade. It shaped who he would become. It gave him patience, focus, and a drive to fix things, not just cars, but challenges in life too. After finishing his studies in Minot, Derek's path didn't lead him straight to YouTube fame. It led him first to service. He enlisted in the military, where he acquired discipline, focus, and a sense of responsibility, values that would subsequently permeate every wrench he turned and every project he touched. When he left the military, he stepped into the corporate world, wearing suits instead of overalls. But something was missing. The office lights couldn't replace the glow of a welder's spark. He missed the smell of oil and the sound of an engine sputtering to life. That's when Derek started thinking about how to bring his passion back into his life. He watched other people online fixing old cars and sharing their work, and a thought crossed his mind. Maybe he could do it too. I thought, hey, I could do that. I just gotta learn how to film, Derek once said. And that's exactly what he did. One evening, he taped a broken iPhone to his garage door, set up his tools, and got to work on an old Camaro. He dropped in a small block engine and a 4-speed transmission, filmed the process, and posted it online. That one video didn't just show a car coming back to life. It sparked something bigger. What started as a simple hobby in a small garage was about to grow into a movement that inspired millions. It was on December 9, 2007, that Derek launched his YouTube channel, Vice Grip Garage. At first, it was just a name, but over time, that name grew into something far greater. A symbol of grit, humor, and unshakable determination. And isn't that how outstanding stories often begin? He didn't have a plan or a studio budget. Instead, he had a dream, a camera, and the courage to start anyway. Vice Grip Garage grew from that small spark into a global phenomenon. His content wasn't flashy or overproduced, it was real. He didn't need perfect lighting or million-dollar cars. What made him special was how honest he was, how much he knew, and how he made people feel connected. In every video, Derek proved that restoring cars wasn't just about fixing machines, it was about bringing them back to life. He took what others had abandoned and gave it a second chance. And isn't that what we all want, in our own way? Another chance to make something run again? The rise of Vice Grip Garage. By the time Vice Grip Garage started getting popular, Derek had already built the skills that made his channel special: patience, humor, and humility. He didn't just work on cars, he shared their stories. His easygoing way of explaining things made people feel like they were right there with him. Every time he brought an old car back to life, it felt like a story of hope, and his viewers got to be part of that journey. Derek gained recognition for rescuing neglected old cars and trucks that had languished in barns, garages, or fields for decades. The goal was simple: get them running, drive them home, and share the journey. But what made people stay wasn't just the cars, it was him. Fans laughed, learned, and sometimes even cried when a stubborn engine finally roared to life after years of silence. At one point he said, "What you're about to see isn't necessarily educational." Yet, for over 1,300,000 subscribers, the content was educational in its own way. People learned not just about spark plugs and carburetors, but about persistence, creativity, and hope. His videos focused on low-cost projects, junkyard finds, and simple fixes, proving that you didn't need a fancy garage or thousands of dollars to make something meaningful. This foundation of hands-on learning and resourcefulness set the stage for bigger challenges, where Derek would push both himself and the cars beyond what most thought possible. From small beginnings to bigger challenges, Derek's journey evolved. He took part in events like Rocky Mountain Race Week and Sick Week, driving cars that barely seemed roadworthy and somehow making them work. But if there was one car that captured everything Vice Grip Garage stood for, it was the 1972 Chevelle called Independence. Rough and worn out, fans loved it, not because it looked perfect, but because it didn't. Independence is beat up and scratched, but like this country, it never quits, Derek once said. For him, Vice Grip Garage wasn't just a channel, it was a legacy. He wanted to pass the torch to the next generation, saying, "When you and I are toes up in the daisies, if there's not another generation to pass the torch to, this whole hot-rodding scene is done." Beyond restoring engines, he wasn't just fixing engines. He was bringing people back together, with their skills, their families, and their communities. Even at big events, Derek stayed humble, a farm kid from North Dakota with a camera and a mission. But just as Derek's vision seemed unstoppable, a new challenge was looming, one that threatened not just a car, but everything Vice Grip Garage had built. Could the passion that fueled his journey survive what was coming next? The breaking point. For a long time, Derek Bieri was that person everyone loved to watch. The one who could take an old, broken-down car sitting in a field and bring it back to life. He wasn't just fixing cars, he was inspiring people. He showed what hard work, creativity, and an occasional sense of humor could do. But as time went on, things started to change. The channel got bigger, the projects got fancier, and the fun started to fade a little. Some fans noticed this before Derek ever said anything. One viewer wrote, "I'm happy for Derek to make whatever content he likes, but my only complaint is he's always talking about how busy he is." It's stressful to watch, compared to the old videos where he's just hanging out in a back field, you know? That comment hit home for a lot of people. The early videos, in which Derek was alone and repairing an old car using basic tools, were what set Vice Grip Garage apart. Those videos showed real work, real effort, and real fun. But as Derek's channel got more popular, he had to make more videos, travel more often, and work faster. Slowly, it became less about enjoying the work and more about keeping up with the non-stop YouTube schedule. And when the pace changes, so does the connection. The projects got bigger, but for some fans, the heart started to feel smaller. Some fans started to say they missed the old Derek. One person wrote, "I wouldn't say boring, but I really don't care about the giveaway cars." It feels like everyone's doing that now. It's more about selling merch than fixing cars. Others agreed, saying the newer videos didn't feel the same. They wanted to see him struggling to start an old pickup truck, instead of discussing sponsors or new products. People loved Derek because he was real, somebody doing his best with limited tools, not a big production team and fancy gear. Another fan explained why the newer content was difficult to connect with. "I'm working on my car, but between my job, bad weather, and money, I can't afford what Derek's doing. Watching him replace expensive parts or work in a heated shop feels impossible for me. I miss when he showed us how to fix things the simple way." That's what made Vice Grip Garage so powerful. Derek made difficult things look possible. His audience wasn't made of car experts with big garages. They were regular people, fixing things in their driveways or barns, learning from his patience and creativity. Derek himself never tried to hide how tough it all became. The stress of travel, deadlines, editing, and juggling the roles of a husband and a father began to wear him down. Fans often heard him say, "I gotta get home by tomorrow because I'm flying out again." Even his audience started to feel exhausted on his behalf. They were no longer merely observing a creator, but rather, they were witnessing a man struggling to maintain composure. And somewhere in that struggle, people began to see a different side of Derek. One fan said, "I don't know how he does it. Jessica's home with the kids most of the time, keeping up with school and everything. It's pleasing to see him staying home more lately." That simple comment said a lot. Derek wasn't just worn out physically, he was emotionally drained. Psychologists have a name for it, the always-on mindset. It means you never really get a break. You're always thinking about the next video, the next post, and the next idea. It can lead to burnout and even affect your relationships. The pressure to always be available online can hurt your mental health and your personal life, one expert says. For YouTubers like Derek, such pressure isn't just theory, it's real life. The work continues even after the camera stops. There's always another edit to finish, another comment to answer, another sponsor to contact. Things got even harder when rumors started online. Another YouTuber brought up Derek's alleged sponsorship deals. Rumors began to spread. It led to people talking and guessing things that weren't true. Suddenly, even small comments turned into big drama. As one viewer put it, even small things could cause a storm online. It's got to be stressful trying to run a business and keep fans happy at the same time. That's one of the hardest parts of being famous on the internet. People feel like they know you personally. They want to understand every move you make, even when you're just trying to live your life. But even through all of this, fans still saw moments of the real Derek. When he worked on old tractors, fixed forgotten cars, or made jokes about onions and spark plugs, that's when people smiled and said, "There he is." He was the same guy from North Dakota who taught us how to make something work with almost nothing. In the end, Derek's breaking point wasn't just about YouTube burnout, it was about balance. He had given so much to his fans, to his channel, and to the dream that there wasn't much left for himself. But fans were still wondering, was this the end of Vice Grip Garage? Or was Derek simply altering his course, taking a step back to safeguard what is most important? The truth wasn't that he wanted to quit. He just needed to change direction. It was about moving from burnout to balance, from constant pressure to finding purpose again. From burnout to balance. Derek worked more than 100 hours a week, traveling, filming, editing, and uploading. He wasn't just building cars anymore, he was building content. Every project had to fit into an upload schedule. Every repair had to make sense for an episode. And slowly, the joy of the work started to fade under the weight of deadlines. This intense lifestyle came with a cost, what many experts call the grind. At first, it looked like pure dedication, long nights, endless travel, and non-stop filming. But behind the scenes, that drive was slowly wearing him down. The burnout didn't hit Derek Bieri overnight. First came the exhaustion, late nights in the garage that stopped feeling rewarding. Then came the frustration. Projects that once excited him started to feel like chores. The spark that built Vice Grip Garage began to fade under the weight of deadlines and expectations. Like many creators, he kept pushing, hoping the next video would reignite that old fire. Instead, the work that once gave him purpose started to drain him. And when the noise finally quieted, the hardest questions remained. Was it still worth it? And had the dream already outgrown him? Dr. Alok, a Harvard-trained psychiatrist who works with creators, calls it a loss of fulfillment. You stop feeling joy in what you do. You start losing interest in topics that once excited you. You experience a loss of your creative spark. For creators like Derek, this becomes the turning point, a moment when stepping back is not giving up, but an act of self-preservation. This is the moment when many creators, such as Derek, retreat, not out of resignation, but to preserve their tranquility. And when that shift happens, when passion becomes protection, audiences can feel it too. The tone changes, the pace slows, and the work starts to reflect a different kind of purpose. Some fans noticed the shift. One wrote, "The vibe is different because he's evolved due to his success." It's similar to a band that releases an amazing first album, but by their third album, listeners may feel bored. I think he's just focused on raising his kids, and that's fine. Another person responded, "I completely agree." An artist gets paid, and then life and family dictate that the art gets prioritized below family needs. It's human. He's a good dude, and I'll still watch and root for him. Not all fans were critical. Many understood that this was a man trying to balance passion with life, and that's something everyone can relate to. Their empathy mirrored the understanding of experts who study burnout. This understanding from fans mirrors what experts like Dr. Alok explain, that stepping back isn't failure, but a necessary step in managing the pressures of creation. Dr. K says burnout isn't something you fix with just a break. You have to understand why it's happening. Maybe it's overwork. Maybe it's pressure. Maybe it's the fear of losing relevance. But the solution isn't just stepping away, it's learning to create healthier boundaries. For Derek, that meant slowing down, spending more time at home, and making Vice Grip Garage about the joy again, not the schedule. It was during this time that he began to reevaluate what truly mattered, not just to him, but to everyone who watched him. Still, Derek never forgot one thing: his fans. "From day one, I know that without our fans, we don't have anything," he once said. Vice Grip Garage ceases to exist. We strive to make every effort, whenever possible, to not only express our gratitude and appreciation, but also to utilize the platform our community has collectively created to improve. We aim to give back, share, be kind, and ideally engage younger minds in the process. That's what makes Vice Grip Garage special. It's not just a YouTube channel, it's a family project. Derek's wife, Jessica, helps with everything. She's not just behind the scenes, she's part of the story. Derek once said that he never wanted his dream to cost him his family. If your dream costs you your family, he said, it's too expensive. Derek's schedule was insane, editing at night, filming all day, and traveling between projects. But he started to realize something. Every hour he spent making videos was an hour he didn't get back with his wife and kids. And that hit him hard. That realization marked the beginning of a new chapter, one defined by balance rather than burnout. He aspired to be present not merely as a YouTuber, but also as a husband and a father. That's when things began to shift. He started focusing more on home life and safety. "I've got kids and a wife at home that I'm pretty fond of," he joked. "So next season, you might see me in something that's not falling apart and rusted." It was a reminder that life off camera matters just as much as life on it, that sometimes slowing down isn't giving up, it's growing up. For Derek and his family, this pause became a chance to reconnect, to breathe, and to remember why they started in the first place. Jessica also shared her thoughts, especially about why drag and drive events meant so much to them. "I would tell anyone to absolutely do it," she said. "It's an amazing opportunity to learn so much about cars and people. You'll walk away with lifelong friends." That's what the channel was really about. Connection, not clicks. And that sense of connection became the anchor that helped Derek find his way back to joy. He once said that some of his favorite moments weren't even in the videos. It was when fans would meet him in person, some even with tears in their eyes, and tell him that his videos helped them through tough times, depression, or loneliness during the pandemic. He didn't plan for that kind of impact, but it showed him that being himself, genuine and kind, mattered more than anything else. So why did Derek slow down? It wasn't because of fame, burnout, or money. It was because he wanted balance. He wanted to protect the things that mattered most: his family, his health, and his happiness. As he said once, "At some point, I have to take my safety into consideration. I've got kids and a wife at home that I'm pretty fond of." In the end, Vice Grip Garage isn't just a car show. Vice Grip Garage is a tale of life, illustrating how even the most fervent individuals must occasionally slow down, not to surrender, but to replenish their energy. Maybe that's the real lesson Derek imparts to us all. Success means nothing if it costs you the people and peace that make life worth living. The noise of success. Not every fan saw the changes in Vice Grip Garage as a bad thing. Some appreciated the evolution, even if the channel no longer focused solely on barn finds and revivals. One viewer wrote, "I do not think it's gotten boring whatsoever. I'm glad for its evolution and appreciate the change-up, from revivals to builds, to giveaways to restos. Revivals will always be my favorite. But he's explained ad nauseum that he can't physically, monetarily, or logistically do only them. While the giveaway stuff doesn't interest me as much, I still love watching him wrench, troubleshoot, and solve problems. He's a teacher as well as an entertainer." Fans also noticed Derek's focus on family and variety. Many enjoyed Vice Grip Lodge, where he explores tractors and farming equipment, and even Bentley's Little Grip Garage, where his youngest son restores go-karts and dirt bikes. Even though some fans didn't care much about the giveaways or fancy restorations, the main reason they loved the channel stayed the same: Derek's passion for reviving old machines and teaching viewers along the way. Yet, not every viewer was a fan of the changes. One user expressed frustration with the giveaway and resto mod content. "Am I the only one that finds him annoying? He may be a great guy, but his YouTube persona is so annoying. I feel dumber and feel like I have been talked down to all wrapped up in one when I try and watch his content. It is like watching a male version of Aunt Mabel in the kitchen trying to save a burnt pie with those cutesy little sayings." Many felt these projects made the channel less relatable, especially for viewers trying to tackle their own car projects with limited resources. The reaction to Derek's content evolution shows the challenge of growing as a creator. Some loved the new style, while others longed for the simplicity of the earlier videos. Comments highlighted that the channel's shift was not just about cars. It reflected Derek's growth, his family responsibilities, and the realities of running a successful YouTube channel. This mix of praise and criticism shows just how closely fans watch every move Derek makes, and how even small changes can create strong reactions online. Even among the car YouTube community, small moments could spark debate. Take the case of the white Bricklin, once part of Vice Grip Garage's legacy. When Mortsky Repair featured the car on his channel, viewers noticed he pointed out parts from O'Reilly's and read the total aloud. "You can tell someone has a sponsorship," he joked. Derek, who had worked closely on that project, reportedly commented on Facebook, not too pleased by the remark. The online chatter quickly spun into theories, though in reality there was no major conflict, just two creators and two audiences interpreting things differently. This episode is a reminder of how the internet can amplify small comments. Fans dissect every word, every sponsorship, and every collaboration. A joke or an offhand comment can turn into a rumor, creating unnecessary stress for creators. Moments like that show how much noise surrounds creators at Derek's level. Every move, every post, and every sponsorship is dissected. That noise can be exhausting when you're just trying to keep things running smoothly. Even so, the positive response shows why Derek has remained successful. Many viewers continue to value his ethics, authenticity, and dedication to the craft. As one fan explained, a large portion of his popularity is also because of his ethics, something rarely seen on TV or YouTube. He's made it very clear that the Motor Trend Show will not replace VGG, which stands for Vice Grip Garage. VGG is his main source of income, and he really enjoys doing what he does. Finding a balance between changing the channel, keeping fans happy, and managing his life was not easy. Some viewers liked the new giveaways, racing cars, and different types of videos, while others missed the old style. Even so, Derek stayed true to what he believed in, and because of that honesty, fans kept trusting and following Vice Grip Garage. No matter the praise, the complaints, or the endless online chatter, Derek knew one thing: the world wasn't done testing him or his cars. Somewhere out there, a project was waiting. A challenge that would push Vice Grip Garage further than ever before. And as the sun set on another week of emails, comments, and fan theories, he couldn't help but wonder, what would happen when passion met its next big roadblock? Growth and evolution. Vice Grip Garage kept changing as Derek worked on his big plans for the channel. Fundamentally, the channel remained true to his passion: repairing cars on a tight budget and revamping old vehicles without incurring significant costs. Derek said, "My heart will always be budget builds, and how can we make this thing run on as little coin as possible content? I'm just a blue-collar, hard-working guy. I work 7 days a week. I don't have endless budgets, and I like to show people that you can have fun and put cars on the street and enjoy them, and they don't have to be pretty and shiny or the fastest." Even though he saved cars every week, Derek knew he couldn't keep them all in his yard. Just like the Monte Carlo and the Chevelle, I was happy we fixed them and got them driving again, but we had to do something with them to really save them. Sometimes that meant selling them to someone else who could use them, he explained. And with that realization, Derek decided the next step wasn't just about fixing cars, it was about proving they could still perform. At Sick Week, Derek tested the Chevelle Independence to see how far it could go. He even wrote, "Pray for me" on the car's rear and hoped the parts would hold up. And they did. Independence ran fast all week, even hitting 140 miles per hour on its last run. Derek didn't stop there. He dreamed of more shop space and sharing his work on bigger platforms like Hulu or Netflix. But no matter what, YouTube always stayed. That was where it all started. And it was where fans could keep seeing Derek's passion, creativity, and excitement for bringing old cars back to life. The bigger picture. Derek Bieri slowing down isn't unusual. Many creators today are choosing passion over constant views. Fans notice it too. One viewer said, "Everyday Driver is an excellent car YouTube channel. They rarely do things just for clicks. All of their reviews are about whether the fun is worth the money." People still want honesty, not just flashy numbers. The pressure Derek faced is something many creators experience. Constantly checking views, tweaking thumbnails, chasing viral hits, and editing non-stop can make work feel like a burden instead of fun. One creator even admitted, "I check my analytics multiple times a day. I'm sick." Being tied to these numbers or vanity metrics can cause stress and anxiety. Creators feel like they must always be online, always posting, always performing. That tension can make even the things they love feel heavy. Derek's choice shows that sometimes stepping back isn't quitting. It's protecting your peace, staying true to your passion, and remembering why you started. Success only matters when you don't lose yourself along the way. So, why do you think Derek decided to step back? Was it the endless pressure to create, the constant travel, or the struggle to balance family and passion? Maybe it was a mix of all these things. Whatever the reason, one thing is clear: he chose to protect what truly mattered. And that makes you wonder, in a world that never stops, how often do we pause to ask ourselves what's really worth it? Drop your thoughts in the comments below, and don't forget to like, subscribe, and share. If you enjoyed this video, click on the next video.